gonna make sure that everything seems to be transmitting. Stopping screen. Let's pull off studio mode. Okay. Should be us live. Yep, we look good. Okay.
So much standing queue.
Now.
Wait until everyone's in this.
Okay, sorry. Here I come. Here I come.
Okay. So things probably were changing as I changed screens around. Hopefully that's better now.
Were you gonna be in the middle during this?
No, you're not.
No, that is you. You are the queen.
Oh, I'm a queen.
I just hover in the background over your shoulder like
Ooh.
some kind of
Yeah.
scary specter.
I've stopped moving things around, so hopefully we'll be better. The big thing to do, guys, as we talk, if you want to answer a question, we're going to talk in the mic. That's our best audio source right now. It should pick it up elsewise, but hopefully it'll be okay. All right. So first off, welcome to our Q&A. Good. I'm glad sound's back on. I have a light up over here on this thing I'm supposed to keep track of, and that's part of the reason why. I pushed the wrong button trying to fix everything. So we've been working on lots of different stuff. First of all, hello everyone. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers to all of you guys.
You know what's really weird is that there's like a delay.
I know.
in the
Oh,
video.
would you rather watch the other screen?
Yeah.
The other
I
screen
think-
watches
I think
shoot.
I'm gonna like be fascinated.
It's gonna
by
freeze
watching
for a second, guys.
past me.
There you go. That's what we look like currently. Okay.
Mm,
So, all right.
that's better.
So we're working on bunches of stuff. I'm going to be your thrall moderator, so your thrall-mator today. And mostly wanted to reintroduce everyone who's here, and Nicole should be joining us soon, in case there's new faces, in case you don't recognize any of us. Also talk about a bit what we're going through right now. So what's everybody working on right now?
Going through. What we are going through.
All right.
A lot.
So
Yeah.
we have two more patches on the table that we're planning to release. One will be our small cults.
Yep, small cults are being worked on, and that's like the Glimmering Lady is an example of that. So we've got like how many more of those? 17
Baby cults?
little baby cults.
Some of those, like the totems, will be spun up and have multiple infinite variations, but at least 17 base cults I think can be based off of.
Yeah, and that's so there's a lot of fun and variety for people with their cult worshipping.
We also made a terrible thing when we were doing the packets and we wrote cults as we went. Here, we'll switch to the mic. It's a little bit gonna be a little loud while I fix the other one.
No problem. But yeah, no, I know that I have been working most camping the bestiary, working off kind of some of the older model of TLA and sort of stripping it all out and adding a whole bunch of new stuff to it.
Apparently, we cannot be heard.
Oh no!
There's still a delay, so give them a second.
Okay.
We're gonna blah blah blah.
It looks like it's catching our voices.
Back, good, yeah. So the problem is they're on delay, so we're gonna
Yeah.
so they're gonna catch up with us.
Oh, I see. Okay.
All
Yeah.
right, so-
What we need to watch is the green bar at the bottom, and that's showing that we still have sound.
Oh, the one that's like moving
Mhm.
back and forth?
So I think that's how loud you are too.
Love it.
It looks so professional.
This is OBS. It's great.
But yeah, no,
No, so bestiary, sorry.
I'm just making things that are eventually going to kill you, so you should be excited about that.
We're also moving forward in our organizations. We're hoping to have that job done in our next turn.
And is religious documents third patch?
Yeah.
Or is that after? Because that's like.
Yeah, so then we have a third patch, which will be our. Let me actually pull up the
'cause-
specific thing.
Yeah.
That's stuff like the Paladin quests and.
Yeah, because the third patch is stuff that like we do need to have, but isn't necessarily like mechanically essential
Mhm.
to everything.
Oh no, it sounds just like going in and out.
Oh,
I mean, I still see it on our OBS. So hopefully it's just like a moment. Okay, back. Oh, it's the baby. The baby caused it to happen.
Sorry, guys. She's not going anywhere.
She's in the corner.
Yeah.
Alright, don't touch the mic at all. We will not touch the mic. It will stay there forever, and we will lean into it instead. Back, third patch.
Okay.
That sounds like Nicole's coming up, so she'll join us in a second.
Fantastic.
Hi, Nicole.
Waze is a liar. It said I could leave at 12:30.
Oh yeah, no.
Oh,
I usually have to
sorry.
leave like at 12 even to get here on time. You want to come over here if you want to be seen.
Yeah, if you want to be seen, there's a squishy
There
spot.
are, unfortunately,
Or-
no chairs left.
Or if like you want, is there a way we can like turn it? To
Not
her?
we'll lose
Not
Nicole. We'll lose
Okay.
Virginia then.
Maybe you want to pull. It depends on your comfort level. If you want to like lurk, or if you want to
Here,
like.
we'll do this.
I'm
Also
not
this
good
way.
at lurking,
Okay.
so I will just lean in and they can occasionally see my face.
It's a lovely
You
dress
have
you're
to wear
wearing.
too if you like. Oh, come this way.
I could almost fall on you.
You can't see it, but she's wearing a beautiful dress.
It's beautiful. Dress.
Yes.
Third patch.
Yeah. So third patch is going to be things like.
Religious documents, right?
Mhm.
Which that for the major religions.
All of our text, our lore props, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, our lore props. That's gonna be fun.
Correct to do. We have a wonderful spreadsheet for this. We have a little table, by the way, because the mic's a little bit low. So just,
We're having trouble with the microphone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
if worst comes to worst, I can actually go ahead and just like use the computer, but it'll be a little bit less loud, effectively.
All right.
Yeah. So it's also going to be things like our Paladin quests, any of our quests that we have cards for during the game, such as Seers, Magical Wonders, our Archaeology deck, our Holy Missions, our win-loss system stuff, as well as some of our notes like what to bring to a LARP.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess actually that stuff is all pretty essential too. Yeah, all these chairs make so much noise. It's to make dinner parties extra awkward.
I know, dude. Same.
Yeah, but want to introduce yourselves real quick again? Do you want to start with Virginia and say who you are and what your, I don't know, whatever you feel like saying to everyone?
Hi, I'm Virginia.
Wait, this is not my one. This is my one.
Oh,
Wait,
That's your wine. Okay.
This is.
That's
We have wine.
Hi.
This is me.
yes.
I'm Virginia.
There's wine.
Hello, I'm Jameson.
Hello, I'm Chantal Yeager.
hello, my name is Megan.
Hi, I'm Nicole.
We are recording this, so hopefully we'll stay later in case we just remember it forever.
Yeah. We are your dev team and your staff for
Yeah.
Age of Ashes.
We even got shirt.
We even have shirts.
I did not wear my shirt.
That's
Well,
I
soon we're gonna get jackets.
You guys were really pretty dresses.
Like Letterman
That's also
jackets.
super important.
Oh my god, Letterman jackets would be great.
That would be awesome,
With like
right?
badges for like whatever games you're on.
That'd be so fun.
Super rad.
New
And in the background is Little Justice.
Yes.
So we have a list of almost 70 questions, all told.
So
Yet
That's a lot of
a lot of them
questions.
stacked together. So we'll probably get to a couple different things at once. We each have them on our devices, and we're going to just take turns going through and reading them. So I'll start with the first one. It's a little bit more long, so it's a good place to start with. Is this person's curious about the play goals behind the design of mages, so they can set their goals correctly. How often do you expect the average mage player should be able to cast spells? Should it be a lot of spells during the game, a few? Or should spells be seen as something rare and special? We might only cast one or less during every average game weekends. And we had actually said that we thought that it was going to be like, be able to cast a few spells during the weekend. You should have the materials you need to cast a couple, but they are hard to get.
Where is it?
It's in questions to answer to search for.
Definitely not gonna be a machine gunnable thing
Yeah.
No.
by any stretch of the imagination.
The idea is for you being a magician is something that's meant to give you like an extra tool in your toolkits. Like you know, at a critical moment, you know, you've got a spell to solve that problem. But that's probably gonna happen like a couple times a game, unless for some reason you've got some sort of like finger on the markets of weird materials, because that's what you need to cast your spells. But by design, we anticipate this just a couple times a game, really.
Or if you're willing to get really dangerous with it and have a bunch of replacement components that are willing to take all that anacrusis a little bit more often.
And everyone else suffers along with you
Yes.
a lot of the times.
Yeah.
So that problem might take care of itself.
What a way to phrase it. There you go.
Would you want to take the next one?
Sure. So it says most of the Dhampir powers seem focused on Malefic. Was it intentional design for them to be excellent Malefic hunters? Are they intended to be combat oriented? So there's 3 different types of Dhampirs, and they're each different type of vampire. So there's Imperium, which is more of a king vampire. There's Noxtrum, which is more towards Malefic, and Ferox is more of a combat monster. And it is part of the design, but there are 3 pretty distinct flavors of them. So they're not all going to be one breed that all have the same goals as if they're some sort of hive mind, because they're not.
Well, it's kind of gives some variety in the Dhampir powers, so not everyone is the same flavor of Dhampir all the way across the board.
Customize your Night Lord.
They're weird.
We also pulled from different mythos for that. Like some of those were the classic Dracula monster, some of those the classic like more masquerade like kind of thing you'd see.
Kind of gangrelly.
Gangrel, yeah. So we try to pull different kinds of our favorite parts of vampire mythos into Dhampir.
And the Noxtrum is a nod to Cult of Night for some of you guys. That, yeah. Anyway,
We'll get there.
we'll get there.
James, do you want to do that?
Yeah. So, here's a question. I'm a bit confused about the anacrusis write-up. It says if a fallacy is not substituted but is instead left out entirely, the anacrusis is increased by 1 anacrusis chart higher than otherwise. But it also says rolling the 12-sided fate die for anacrusis is as follows. If you substitute or are missing 1 fallacy, the effect is determined on the minor anacrusis chart. Which is it? And the answer is the first one. We left the other one in by accident. We're fixing it as we go.
As a note too, I have a particular mental thing that happens a lot where if the word sounds the same, I might put it in, even if it's not. I wrote an EWE for YOU before. I've oftentimes done translations so that my spell check doesn't catch it. I don't necessarily go for it. So this is related to that. And to everyone, I'm very sorry that I used tenant instead of tenet. My spell check. We have people check our stuff.
We do.
We go through a series of reviews before it even goes up on the site. But stuff happens.
Yeah.
So this one's a mistake. We thought we caught them all.
Yeah, honestly, a lot of it's my fault, because like one of my big major jobs is to like go over everything and just, you know, be sure that everything's the way we want it. And if there are errors that are slipping through, that's on me primarily. So sorry.
But that's why we're able to do such a detailed patch log, because we actually have a very strenuous review process in which we actually note things that change.
This is my wine, right?
Yes,
I think
this
so,
is
yes.
my wine. That your wine.
All right. Very good.
Debbie,
This is my
or
wine.
Chantal, you want to get the next?
Yeah, totally. So the next one is do Dhampir age? That one?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Do they live like mortals, or does the blood preserve them like it does their masters? And the answer is that no one knows. Dhampirs are weird. They are not well understood. There's a lot of, in canon, in the setting of the game, there's a lot of study that's going into them. There's theories for why they are the way they are. But, I mean, people don't really know how long mortals live in Age of Ashes, technically, either. Eventually people do succumb to eventually forgetting who they are over time. They eventually do either reach their final rest or become malefic creatures, but because death is not necessarily the end and they come back, we don't know what the true average lifespan of a human is, and the world is very dangerous. So a lot of people aren't necessarily dying from natural causes like old age. So no one really knows. There's no ancient Dhampirs in the setting. They are like a relatively new phenomenon. There's no records of them spanning back thousands of years or anything like that. So yeah, that's the answer to your question. It is unknown.
So we have a lot of Dhampir questions, which we're going to get a little more in depth to in a second, because we had one question where we talked about them all in one giant thing. But one question was, how long can blood stay in a Dhampir unspent? Basically, it stays in a Dhampir forever. That's part of their thing. Once it's inside them, they can do whatever they want. You can, however, have blood outside. So we have something called sanguinescence. And basically 2 sanguinescence is about equal to 1 liter of blood. So you can actually preserve sanguinescence in any way essence are preserved. So Dhampir could get gross, grody, preserved blood as long as you had 2 of them to equal 1 liter.
Because it's not as delicious and fresh.
It's gross.
Yeah.
It tastes like formaldehyde.
Yeah.
Or magic or shit.
Yeah.
Canned blood.
Canned blood.
Canned blood, like chicken in a can.
Ew, ew, ew.
Essence in a can.
Okay, Nicole, you wanna go?
So, how does the Water Guild's blood domain interact with Dhampir and their powers? That's a good question. There's a lot of different rumors out there. Some people claim that it can protect you from them, but not much is known about it yet.
So the answer, like OOC, is essentially there's interactions that can happen, but that's known by the people who have those spells.
It's mysterious.
All right.
We'll start over.
Yeah, start with the top. That's the part
Alright.
great. So Virginia will be the next one.
See, is there a full list of spells available for us to pick our starting ones? No. You get three?
So you basically you get to choose 3 domains.
Yeah.
And you get a random one for each of the domains you choose. So you'll know roughly what domain you're choosing, but you won't know what spell it is.
Sanguinate, that's
Sanguinate.
gross.
Oh, that is gross. Sanguinate.
Can you guys can they hear the baby?
Yeah, when she makes noises. I can also hold her, maybe.
Well, or also I could try to shove her off on my other children. Like,
Family daycare.
yeah, or let her crawl around on the ground and bite our ankles.
She would make a good ankle biter.
She is a good ankle biter.
Do you want to get the Seer question?
Yeah. So, how much useful information can Seers expect to get out of their powers that can't be gained from more from more conventional information gathering methods? Can we expect the combined glory plus XP plus insanity risk to be worth it? And the answer is a lot of it is plot stuff and things that only staff would normally know. Some of it is things that you can get through conventional means, but it's kind of like a shortcut through the all the work, the legwork of talking to people, building a spy network, getting everyone following whatever task you have at hand. Psychometry, for example, is only possible with seer powers. There's nothing else currently in existence that can do that. And knowing what is tied to Malefic is a really good confirmation that is usable as a ritual component, as there are a whole bunch of rituals that require a specific object tied to Malefic, mostly in the Sanctum and Lazarine packets, I believe. You can't experience the memories of the dead through any other means.
Not directly.
You're correct.
Yeah.
Not directly. You can like, there are plenty of other methods, like you can talk to the dead and sort of like get their take on things, but Seers actually let you experience it through their eyes.
Like a point of view.
Yeah, so you'll get a lot more clear information that way than just talking to a guy because maybe they forgot, maybe they don't want to talk to you. Many reasons why the dead might not be cooperative. You can ask questions of the dead and summon them, and the Seer is a shortcut to something that would otherwise take a long time or might otherwise be impossible to obtain. So yeah, no, there's a lot of different utility that Seers will have that no one else will really have access to. And on top of that, they're very useful for shortcutting all of the traditional information gathering methods.
Yeah, we really basically wanted them to be useful. That was one of the things, like, well, not just like what's fun to present and what's fun to do, but also like what actually can help you with plot.
Yeah, and they're a little cheaper in terms of like the cost of their stuff. Like some of their skills are just free. There's a couple that take like some candles and
Herbs.
hallucinogenic herbs and things like that. But you know, compared to some of the cultists and what they have to do, they're much cheaper to get the job done.
Yeah, it's your
Is it me? All right. So mages spend XP and get a quest from their guild to increase their circle. What happens if the quest fails? Is the XP refunded? Is it lost? If it's lost, is it counted against the XP cap? And there's a little bit of a potentially a misnomer here. So it's not necessarily that mages get like a quest the way like a paladin gets a quest or something like that. Mages are very beholden to their guild. Their guild is kind of like the begin-all, end-all of whether or not they progress and advance, get new spells. So magicians are wanting to make their guild very happy. If their guild asks them to do something, they are heavily motivated to do what their guild asks of them. You know, and this is where like sometimes having dual loyalties and things like that can be a big problem, because if your guild, your magician's guild, suspects that you may not be entirely and wholly loyal to them, they may be very reluctant to allow you to advance or to take on more precious spells, because the guilds are primarily like a library of sorts, a vault of very precious ancient magic, and they don't want to just entrust that to anyone. So basically, you're not going to promote without the guild saying yes first. So there's not really like a failing of the quest and losing XP. Like it's kind of like first, you know, potentially ask guild how they feel about you progressing, or guild approaches you and says, you know, oh man, I bet like you'd love to advance to circle 2. Either like, what have you done for me lately, or we've got this really big favor to ask of you. And so yeah, in that sense, like they could be giving you like a quest if you want to think of it that way. But that comes first, and then after that is where circle promotion can take place, and then you're spending XP. It's 4 times the new circle, and that story promotion in game.
But you'll never be spending XP ahead of that. Basically,
Yeah.
you will spend XP once you actually do it. Until that point, you don't actually have to worry about it.
Exactly.
You can think of it kind of like trying to impress your boss at a really kind of gross corporation.
Yeah.
It's a really gross corporation.
Really
Yeah.
gross corporation. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, suck up to your bosses and maybe you'll get that promotion next year.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, way to make it dirty. That's
Oh, next one's actually next one's our Dhampir mega post. So the big question we got a lot was, how do Dhampirs bite? How do they feed? How do they actually do? And we realized we skipped over that.
Yeah, we
So
did not add that to our instructions.
So basically, if they're helpless or incapacitated, you take blood without having to do anything
From a victim.
from a victim. Yeah. If they are like completely unconscious, or you want baby? All right, I'll give you baby. Ugh, you go.
Baby!
completely unconscious or whatever, like you got them like trussed up in rope and stuff, you can take it without any worry about any skills at all. Feeding takes about the space of a rest, and you should indicate that by like leaning over them and looking like you're trying to eat them. If they are unwilling, it does take brawl. The easiest way is brawl too. You have to grab them, call bite, and then hold that grab, maintain the grab for the space of a rest. If you do that, you successfully feed.
Just 5 seconds.
If downed, if once you feed, they are down, and you basically you can also feed again on someone who's already down, but that will kill them. So basically, down them first with one feed. You can kill them with a second. You do get additional liter of blood for doing so. So everyone can potentially get about 2 liters of blood you can take for them before they start to have problems.
If you're cool with killing a healthy person, that could be two blood units for you.
If you feed on someone who's battered, however, you're gonna kill them.
Yeah.
So basically, battered is representing they've already been injured. So if they are currently battered and you feed on them, you can get a liter of blood from them, but you will instantly kill them. If someone's drained to the point of death, you can't actually harvest that body for anything else. That corpse isn't good to get other essences from, because it's actually effectively been harvested already. I think that was everything we talked about.
I think so. Yeah.
I believe so.
I mean, I'm sure Brendan will let us know if someone's like screaming. we weren't clear.
On this, I'm just going to go to the next question though. Is does Dhampir bite create any pleasurable sensation for the victim? No, and it doesn't unless you're into that sort of thing.
It's like being bitten, really, really hard.
Yeah. you have been bit.
If you like that, then you like it.
Yeah. No judgments. However.
So next question is also a Dhampir question. When a Dhampir feeds and downs a human target, what sins are committed? Since they are dying but not dead, is it murder, mortal violence? Or if the Dhampir needed the blood to heal, would be killing in self-defense, venial violence? No and no. It's only really a sin once you've murdered them.
However, we did go on to.
Should I do the next
Yeah, go
question?
for it.
now?
It
However,
flows.
does drinking human blood constitute stealing, venial greed, or eating the flesh of humans, deadly greed? Does feeding on a willing human constitute exploitation of another? If more than one of these sins applies, does one take precedence, or are they all committed simultaneously? If it's not willing, then yes, it is considered stealing, but it's not considered eating the flesh of a human. So it would just be venial greed. And it's not considered exploitation if they're willing, only if you're sort of like blackmailing them or something along those lines.
Like, you give me your blood, otherwise I'm killing your pet. That's exploitation. Or like.
Yeah, exactly. But that was a good question. We actually debated that for a while. Like, is taking someone's blood stealing? And it depends on the situation, really. What it comes down
So
to.
it is theirs to give or try to keep.
Yeah, if someone's like, please take my blood, like, that's not stealing.
But if you still kill that person, it's still murder.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Someone can't be like, please kill me, and you're like, oakley dokley, and have that not be a sin in our system.
Virginia, you want to get the next one?
Let's see. Oh, did we want to do the 7 full points of depravity question?
I think it's the same one. It's basically the only sense is it's stealing and murder. It's stealing if they're unwilling, and it's stealing and murder if they're unwilling and you kill them. That's your total depravity points.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do Dhampirs count as malefic creatures with respect to player characters' powers that affect or target malefic, e.g., ranger, sympathy, consumption, evocation, etc.? So, dark invocation, which is
I think it's a 5th level, might be 4th level.
No, it's a trait.
Oh,
It's-
dark invocation's not a trait.
it's a
specific-
flaw.
It's a specific flaw.
It's the flaw.
It's a fruit.
Yeah. Okay.
So it would be
it's
5th
5.
level.
Yeah. 5th
Yeah.
level.
Yeah.
It's any combat power that affects the Knight Malefic affects a Dhampir in the same way, and it isn't effective until that level.
Yeah.
So that is one of the drawbacks that comes with a higher level Dhampir power.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, shit! All right, well now I'm.
That's the point.
Yeah, now it hurts.
That's the point right there.
So Dhampirs are human for safe sin continuously throughout the entire thing. They're always human.
Yes.
When it comes to malefic powers, if you get that specific power and you get that specific flaw, then they are indeed.
She's trying to eat poop and spoil my water.
Okay. Well, how about I take a little break and you guys continue on the QA while I deal with the baby thing. All right. Pardon me.
She's trying to search for the chinchilla poop on the floor.
Oh, I see. Amazing. So I'll be back.
I just spilled my cup of
Godspeed.
water.
Thank you.
All right.
Yes, I have a couple of
Yeah, you have covered.
Hello.
All right. And maybe if we can get Nicole in a little bit further. There we go. Faces. Faces are nice.
So you get my half face. At least it's my good side.
As long as we still have noise, we still sound yes, yes, yes. Okay, noise. Excellent.
Good stuff.
So yeah, basically until you take that power, they're affected. That's only when they become limited for the points of spells and whatnot and rangers. Same question actually. Are Dhampirs considered malefic or monsters? Do you want to go for it?
Yeah. So they occupy kind of Twilight weird spot, and that's part of the reason we're getting this question. Most people think that they're monsters, like in the culture of the world, they would be considered monsters, but mechanically they're humans for the purposes of depravity, and most powers for save for what we just addressed. If malefic, can they be resolved in some sort of fashion? No, they're not. You can't fix it. Once you're a Dhampir, always a Dhampir. How are Dhampirs viewed by other non-Saravian cultures and cults? They're super weird and terrifying. They're not. You don't want them around. They're super creepy. Maybe Saravians are somewhat used to them. If they, even if they don't really like or trust them. But the rest of the world has no idea what they are and are really terrified by them. Like, the closest thing that maybe they might be familiar with is like, this thing is drinking blood. Is it a Quarlite? Is it, what is going on here? They just have no...
A vampire?
Is it a vampire?
Are you the weird ranger thing I've heard about?
Yeah, they might have a bunch of interesting
Are you a water
conclusions they might come
mage?
to.
Yeah, you water mage with blood.
Yeah. Is this what water mages are? Oh god.
Really important question actually came up. Do paladins have to follow the Benalian faith, and do rangers have to follow the Rakach one? They don't. These guys pop up everywhere. They're kind of natural.
Yep.
Paladins have to follow a specific sunset no matter where they are, which is a little bit weird for them, perhaps growing up, and that they actually have a different sunset than everybody else.
They'll always feel out of place in their home.
Ophelia, to answer your question, Dhampirs are humans for the sake of depravity. You can't murderize them. You get sinned for killing Dhampirs. So hopefully that helps. But yeah, so same thing. But paladins and rangers can be in any faith in any place. They are effectively everywhere. And weird pop-ups. Alright.
So, next question was, for the Ranger Autumn invocations, death throes, and sacrifice, the prices require blood dripping from the nose, ears, or eyes. Is the blood dripping intended to be something occurring only during... screen, light back up. Only during the usage of the power, or will the character need to be bleeding off and on throughout the event? Since it's a costuming thing, we'd expect that you'd typically have dried blood around those organs throughout the event, so it'd be like, drip the things, and then get going for the day, and if you want to reapply, you can.
And that's true for most things. We do expect that most costuming things will be, you'll have them throughout the event, effectively. There'll be something that's, like, inherent to you. Just sometimes your nose bleeds all the time. You can cover that up. For example, like, you can, like, but you do need to wear something that would cover it up. So it's like, oh, I'm just really furry under this scarf.
Yeah.
Or, I don't have horns, I just wear a really big hat all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. It's all Gothic fashion.
It's just fun. It's the best fashion.
Okay. In the Dhampir rules, it says, grants the Dhampir the ability to consume and hold the blood of sentient creatures. But then 2 sentences later, it says they must drink enough to down the human creature, 2 limb wounds, or 1 to the torso to gain 1 liter. To down the human creature implies that Dhampir can only get blood from humans or human-like creatures. But the previous line indicates that other sentient creatures could also provide blood. Are Dhampir limited to only drinking human blood? Is the limit to characters that they are played by a human, possibly in a mask?
I can work. I need you to get after
Like, say, the king rat of the dire rats, and,
Whoa.
Sorry.
Pardon me.
We really need to get like a studio.
I know, we really do.
If a Dhampir is able to take down a living sentient thing that has blood, it could be an orc, it can be an elf, still needs to be living blood, so no malefic creatures. It can't be blood from a dead thing.
Yeah, if you look at our new Maleficon Monsters page, we have a lot of details about what the different things are, like what their cursed is or whatnot.
I had a great time writing it. Please read it.
It's
It's amazing.
It is so fun. It's so much fun.
So would that mean that would the aberrants count? I didn't actually think we answered the question about the dire rats.
Oh man, aberrants.
I think it would be a hit or miss whether or not they're sentient.
It really does. It
Like
really
if they had the
miss.
human intelligence.
Yeah, they're typically. What would have to happen is it would need to have the humanoid intelligence instinct, which is a specific positive instinct that some things have and others don't. So if you're drinking from a malefic, it's really hit or miss, no matter what it is. Like, it really depends.
So I would argue that most of the time, the dire creatures you're going to encounter do not have the level of intelligence required to have that trait, that instinct.
But if they do, in the very specific case of perhaps the king rat, you can take his blood.
Yeah, that very specific case.
So Brian Cross, I said that you are in the chat. So yes, they're coming for you now, Brian. As they weren't already.
Yeah, as if they weren't already.
We didn't mean to put such pretty people into things. Alright, Chantal, I think you're next on this Paladins question.
Do Paladins have to follow the Benalian
Oh no,
faith?
we're further down.
Oh, are we further down?
Yeah,
I missed a
Paladins,
bunch.
Rangers, Seers, Magicians.
Paladins, Rangers, Seers, Magicians, and Cultists all have the innate skills inherent in their concept to acquire more fuel for their respective powers, as reflected in the XP cost for each concept. Only Dhampir require additional skills, such as Brawl for grab, before they can feed on an unwilling target. Can you comment on why Dhampir need Brawl 2 when no other glory concepts buy additional skills to acquire their respective fuels? And I want to be clear that this is a question that I am reading aloud. This is not actually like our rules as written. So there is kind of a because we did not publish the feeding rules, that there's kind of like a base assumption here that that's the only way to get blood, and that's not the case. If you've got, like we mentioned earlier, if you've got a helpless or otherwise incapacitated victim, you do not need any skills to feed from them. You also can take twice as much preserved blood and get your blood that way. So
You also have buddies.
Yeah.
Willing targets.
Yeah, willing targets that'll give it the brawl is only for those times where like you are in battle or you're like, I'm gonna drink your blood, and they're like, no, you're not, and you're like come here, get over here, like that's like that's what that's for. So and really the other glory concepts do also have certain skills or attributes that are of great benefit to them.
Mages, for example, really can't do anything without spells. They also really can't do anything without their material. So both mages and cultists actually do have to have outside things they have to gather.
Yeah, and there's like certain attributes that are very important to them. As with paladins, there's an attribute that's very important to them as well. So the glory concepts all like are assisted by spending XP in certain attributes or skills, certainly.
But you don't have to.
But you don't have to.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to do the thing.
Not at all. Exactly.
Yeah. Especially if you remember the sanguine essence can be transmuted for vampires.
Mm-hmm.
Dhampirs, Noxtrom Tree, level 5, Senator. What is the verbal call that informs the Night Malefic of the nature effect of the attack dispersed it? So, we did try to keep our calls down to a minimum. We didn't want everyone to have to learn lots of different calls and lots of different confusing things. The Dhampirs, that's an interesting question. That's a good question we'll answer in a bit. I'll come back to you, Luke. We did try to keep that down. So it was stuff that could be determined by an OOC conversation. We tried really to actually just leave that in there. So for Noxtrom, we really appreciate that you'd be like, you just call, hold in your Sin Eater, and then you go and you talk to the guy. You're like, hey, I effectively dispersed you for the hour. I've got this power.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because it's the person on site staff usually. It's not going to be a player, so it's okay for you to be like, whoa, stop. I just did this thing.
Yeah, because otherwise we would need a very specific call for this specific situation, and it's going to be super confusing if every single unique situation has its own unique call.
The number of arguments we made over Paladin calls was large and varied.
I love you all very much.
So, to have your questions, was can Dhampirs' buddy hold the target while they feed? I think as long as the buddy's got brawl, as long as they are incapacitated, basically.
Because I think if someone's like holding them in place and they can't escape, that counts as being incapacitated.
It'd be the same thing if they like had manacles linking them to a wall or something.
Yeah. I want to reserve the right to change that later if that becomes a problem. Because currently it seems cool. It seems like it would work.
It does still take a space of a rest, and they do have to they have to maintain incapacitation throughout that entire space of the rest.
Yeah.
They can't just be like, grab you, and then they get away. That doesn't count.
What sort of sin would they get for that? Are they stealing themselves too?
They're not stealing. I think it'd just be a combat thing, so I don't think it matters.
Okay.
Cool. Your next one? Here you go, so everybody wants. Sorry.
Is there a call or verbal announcement involving a damper feeding that would distinguish it from a basic limb or torso strike? The call is bite. Bite.
Also, I'm just going to take this question for next season I talked about earlier. The word for the religious rule is tenet and not tenet. This isn't a question that just a plea to correct these errors because everyone makes every single LARP with a religion. It's slowly driving me insane.
I'm sorry for your insanity.
I've actually gone through the entire website and I've searched it and hopefully I've gotten it. By the way, I know our search function's not great right now. I'm working on improving that. But if you ever need to search stuff with Google, you can do site:/Age of Ashes LARP, and then you can find every mention of the word tenet and go through and correct them all. There was only 6. There were only 6 of them.
That's good.
Yes, but there were still 6.
And I missed them.
They were actually mostly in the older packets. It was in Demi and Hesha and stuff. Hesha was the big ones that talked about the code, the C, and I'm like, that's mostly where they were. So.
Alas. Spell check would not.
That means it was probably.
But it's fixed.
Oh, I think it's all this.
The moral of the story is that it's fixed.
If you see another one, you can private message me. And I will cry. But it's okay, it's not your fault, it's my fault. Alright, Jen, you wanna go?
So what's the best way to submit numbers and tweaks kind of feedback, i.e. this seems good, but I think it should require 4 people and not 7 kind of stuff. We did give all of this a lot of thought, and if there are concerns, you can submit a ticket, but just know that we would generally like to see what we wrote and troubleshot run in game, and then if there's a big problem, please let us know privately. But we're looking to see how that works out first.
Don't judge until you try it.
Yeah.
I mean, that being said, we definitely have been soliciting your feedback and your questions. But yeah, there's a certain point where it's like we'd like to see what happens though. So there might be some instances where it's like thank you for letting us know your concern. We appreciate it. We're gonna tuck that in our back pockets and kind of see what happens.
As a note, Brendan, I know there's other questions happening, thank you for helping to moderate, could you go ahead and make me a list and then we'll get to them at the end? That'd be great.
If we've got time.
If we don't see them, yeah. Otherwise we'll release something, I'm not sure.
Yeah, we'll figure something out.
Is there potential to add other branches to the Dhampir tree that might focus more on mental effects or way to make it less murdery to get their stolen blood? Maybe something that allows them to, over time, shape the bodies of their chosen herd to allow them to feed without downing their victim. There are a couple ways to get things without killing people. You can get 2 sanguinescences from a Lorite, for example, but no, we're not really in the moment planning on expanding our current Dhampir powers. They will remain what they are until maybe some future date when we think about that, but not at the moment.
Yeah,
Our
our current patch thing is to finish our current final 2 patches, to finish our beta, to review our beta stuff, and then to try to play for a while before we do another major patch.
Especially because if you are giving one board concept more powers, then you've got to examine all of them for more powers.
Yeah, we've tried to balance them against each other, so yeah.
And we're a little exhausted right now.
Oh no.
I think you're next.
Is it me? Okay. What happens if a spell cast fails due to not drawing a valid symbol from the spell bag? I couldn't find that info on the spellcasting page. Are fallacies lost? Does anacrusis occur if applicable? Are you able to try again? And the answer is that you do lose your fallacies. You get anacrusis if anacrusis would occur. So if you are substituting, if you are like just flat out omitting, which
Doing
is
something beyond your level.
yeah, doing something beyond your level, then anacrusis occurs. So if that's applicable, yes.
But you don't get anacrusis just for it failing, correct?
No, that's right.
Correct.
No.
Yeah, it's basically fallacies are lost.
Yeah.
You get anacrusis with applicable, but the
You'd have to try again if you got the fallacies
Mhm.
there. But so the idea being that magicians are discouraged from trying to cast spells that are too powerful for them, because if you lose your fallacies, you lose your fallacies, and the only way to try again is to have more of those fallacies.
By the way, we do have a system for figuring out how complex a spell is. There is a background calculation going through, so we are trying to balance the effect and the level of effect that it has based on what kind of fallacy it has. So its complexity is directly tied to the difficulty of fallacies. They're all supposed to be within levels, so there is math going on in the back end to try to make it more likely that you'll be able to cast stealth at your level.
Yeah. And if you don't have the exact fallacy, as we've detailed out on the site, you can take that anacrusis roll. You totally can. But hopefully you've got something equitable to substitute.
Yeah. We actually answered the next one. Can I shave for or get rid of certain costume requirements? You can hide them, but you can't get rid of them.
For rangers, right?
Range it for anything. I think
Yeah,
it's
there's a
I
bunch
don't
of
know.
them.
There's specific right here. Who knows? By the way, they're out of order on purpose. The design is that we don't. It's completely anonymized. We don't know who it is.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it's in theme. So I shoved them all around.
Mm-hmm.
So you can hide them, but you can't get rid of them. If you don't have, if you have the flaw, you do have to have it on your body. But you can have costume that covers it up or something. Like wear hats, wear stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the idea being because we were kind of thinking about the Nemean, for example, and per the canon, per our setting, the Nemean are oftentimes covered in tattoos, but we know that not every single player wants to costume that, and so you can cover yourself up, and cover your entire body, but that would be the costuming to symbolize that there is stuff being covered.
You got a good question.
Oh. Can you drain other Dhampir for blood, and if so, can you drain more than a normal human? What they had stored plus their health. Yes, you get the normal blood first, but once they are fully dead, you can also get the rest of the blood they had stored in their bodies. So you have to kill them to get more than a normal person.
So you can't just pass blood to your friend, but you can steal blood.
Mm-hmm.
It is double stealing. No, it's still stealing. It's still just stealing because that was their blood that they had earned.
And murder.
And murder. Virginia, you want to get the next one?
Right. Yeah. Let's see. How does the discipline skill interact with the insanities gained from the power flaws? Can they ever be removed, or are they sick in the head with no way of spending XP to remove them? So discipline functions as normal. A mild one you can ignore. Severe is taken down a notch, but you have to leave the situation, and then crippling is taken down a notch for a second. There we go. Temporary things that suppress powers, but they're flaws. In that way.
They do function like sick in the head, basically,
Yeah.
though. You can't basically remove it without keeping the power.
Yeah. Get rid of the insanity, get rid of the power.
We were gonna have to back that
Oh,
one.
oops. I didn't say that.
We're still debating some higher level complexities what happen with insanities, but effectively right now they function as flaws.
So can sick in the head be taken more than once at character gen? No, unless otherwise noted. The flaw can be taken. That a flaw can be taken multiple times. It can only be taken once, and we do have some flaws that are noted. They can be taken multiple times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the idea is it are sick in the head. The insanities are kind of intense. They really do dictate a lot about how your character functions
I
at
tried.
game. Yeah, and I mean, if you you are starting out the game with multiple insanities, you might very quickly become a very, very difficult concept to play. Because we're also assuming that probably during play you're going to acquire something, because it's very easy to gain depravity as well. So unless it's noted, like was already said, multiple times for flaws.
Oh, I lied when you asked me the question earlier. So earlier, Chantal was like, any idea of roughly how many different kinds of spirit cults, such as literally, are we hoping to have available for the next beta game? I think it's 16 total, but it's 15 that we're still to release.
Oh no.
I know, it wasn't
Oh no. 15 instead of 17. Oh no.
Sorry, go ahead there.
It's a lot. It's a lot. Can a Dhampir with negative strength grab a non-helpless human for biting and feeding? Actually, yes. Because the -1 strength flaw, negative attribute, means that you cannot deal damage with a weapon. But you can use a gun, and,
Grab's not gated by strength.
Yeah, grab is not something that is gated by the strength attribute. So technically, yes. Even with -1 strength, you can still grab and, feed from a victim.
I really appreciate these questions though, because maybe it's like, we're like, does it?
Yeah, really, like, does that make sense?
Are fangs a weapon? Yeah, so
Yeah.
we had some problems.
What offers do we have to use for those?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get your buffer teeth here.
So we answered the other one above. Some of these questions actually, they doubled up, so you'll just hear me skip them.
Yeah.
Alright, so given that one of the biggest goals of mage guilds are now finding lost spells and increasing knowledge, what now drives the infighting between the guilds? The spells are guild specific, and so it's not like they're fighting over resources to any significant degree. It seems like in this trying and difficult times, they're more likely to work together than work against one another, or at least have some degree of neutrality rather than active aggression. Can you talk about that a bit? If two PCs are mages from different guilds, how you see they affecting their ability to play together, BIC allies, still be successful with their respective guildmates. So, we do have a section of this on the page itself, which I'll talk about in a second, but the thing is they are competing for resources. Weird resources are hard to get. They're a level 5 gathering skill in the specific thing, and they're unusual and hard, and they overlap in weird ways. So oftentimes, while some of the things are attuned to one or another, they do want specific things that the other ones want. And they're all trying to get back the old power they have. So even though the spells may not be usable by you as a player, your guild wants them. If you can bring, if you're a water guild and you can bring an air spell to them, that's a really good chance you might get promoted. Because it's taking one spell away from their guild, but it's also adding more things they might understand about magic in general. So they are still absolutely, competing for resources and want each other's stuff. But more importantly, there's a Romeo and Juliet thing that's happened with mages, and that's kind of what we laid out on the Magician's page itself, is that every time you start to work together with those fuckers from a different guild, everything goes wrong, the world conspires, everyone backstabs, and everyone's dead. It's just, it's terrible tragedy.
It's really weird.
So the answer is, it just has never worked, and no one believes it can ever work, and a lot of people have these deep-seated discriminatory biases to one. So you can still have a Romeo and Juliet story with your friends from another guild, just know the world's conspiring against you.
We know how Romeo and Juliet ended.
And I think with the exact text on the page that we mentioned, as I'm going to read aloud, is that they rarely mix well together. They're often in direct competition or even open hostilities against each other. They jealously guard their scrolls and techniques. And then given however much they have in common with one another, with much of the world against them, it's just that they seem to, every time things happen, the entire world, they see the world very differently. They just don't get along well. And every time they try to partner with each other, the story's the same. Partnership leads to horrid betrayal, infighting, and everything falls back apart.
Alas.
So.
Alright, another pretty simple question. For the Ranger's summerification, heavy hands, the price is that the Ranger has glowing hands. For the costume requirement, do the Ranger's hands need to glow all the time or only when the power is active? The answer is all the time.
It'll probably be fainter during the day, but
Yeah.
It's costuming.
At least less visible, yeah.
Yeah.
How extensive does the daylight avoiding costuming need to be? Will a wide-brimmed hat, gloves, a scarf, and a heavy-duty coat do? Will they need a full veil? If they do not go outside, do they need to wear the heavy costuming? What if they move between buildings? Can they remove some of the layers indoors, or must the costuming be worn at all times during daylight? If you're indoors, you can take off some of the costuming as long as you stay away from open windows, stay out of the sun. If you have a large hat, that's fine, it's going to cast a shadow, but if you look up at the sun, look up at the sun, it's gonna hit your face, and so
I mean, I encourage them to dress like Vampire Hunter D.
Yeah.
I totally
Hell
do.
yeah.
Yeah. Like,
but yeah, I mean, you know, we don't want you to die of heat stroke, but you know, it's
There you go.
oh.
Just have a bunch of normies carry you around,
Yeah.
and then you don't have to go outside at all.
Oh my god.
So yeah, no, just don't let the light of the sun hit your skin.
Yeah.
Be the opposite of Simba.
I want.
Everything the light touches will hurt you.
I'll build you one. It's fine. I'll build you.
You're the best. You're the best. Bless you.
Is it possible, whether recommended or not, to combine glory concepts, i.e. occultist paladin, cultist mage, paladin ranger?
One sec, guys. We're gonna break. We lost sound for a moment. I think it's me picking down the table. Sorry, guys. I'm not sure you heard our paladin.
Hear us.
Hear
Paladin,
us.
paladin.
Sound will come back eventually.
Maybe they didn't hear
It's
my
back.
tablet.
Okay.
No.
Oh, they missed all the part about paladins, did they?
What'd they miss? What'd you miss?
Oh, missed all of it about
What?
paladins.
No.
Oh, paladin jokes.
You cannot say them again.
They're never gonna come back.
It's never.
No.
It's never gonna.
That's a
come
shame.
back.
Mostly be
The moment's
shady.
gone.
Yeah, if you're Dhampirs, we encourage paladins. That was basically all of it.
Mm.
Be creative, and we'll give you extra points.
Okay. Is it possible, whether recommended or not, to combine glory concepts, i.e. occultist paladin, occultist mage, or paladin ranger? There are some concepts that you can put together and others that won't. So the three glory concepts that you are born with are Seers, Paladins, and Rangers. And those cannot mix. You cannot have a Seer Paladin or a Seer Ranger, etc.
Or Ranger Paladin.
Or Ranger Paladin. Any of those.
All those combinations.
All those,
cannot
yeah,
work.
no, do not. But you can be a combination of one that you are born with and one that is learned, or two that are learned. That said, given that we have an XP cap, you're probably not going to be super great at either of them if you choose to do that. It'll kind of be like a jack of all trades, master of none situation, but it is technically possible.
You can all have her only interplay with one glory concept.
That's true. You can only
Yes.
enter and play with one. So come into play with the one you were born with if you want to have that be the way you start.
And furthermore, you come in with level one, circle one.
We're gonna
Oh,
get to whatever that's
oh, okay.
Yeah.
More to come on that later.
Or then we can do it now, actually.
Yeah.
Allow us to scroll down. But on the note, actually, it's a good thing to bring up.
Yeah.
So
At some point, someone asks about that, and you.
here we go. We said, how much of a glory concept can I buy a character creation?
Yeah.
It's
And we want everyone to have the experience of progressing through your concept. We want the paladin to be performing quests. We want the Dhampir to be performing their unlock abilities.
We want the Lazarans to be making corpse soup out of corpses.
Yes,
Delicious
yeah.
corpse
We
soup.
want everyone to have that experience, and so we are limiting it so that you can only enter play with your glory concept at the beginning. The rank 1, circle 1, whatever that is, and just one glory concept.
So-
at a time.
No extra powers, no extra rituals,
It,
etc.
well, but you do get some. You do get some coming into
You
play.
do.
So,
Yes. You get your starting
mages
ones.
come in with the 3 spells. Cults come in with their 3 basic rituals. Dhampirs and Seers get their first level power. Paladins and Rangers come with their innate abilities. So everyone's got something, but especially things that require an unlock concept, we want to do that unlocking game.
Yeah. Sorry that I skipped it.
No, that's good. It's a good question. It was irrelevant at the time. I had to go find the answer. All right. So the question that you're on though right now is: can a Dhampir wound themselves to gain blood?
Can a Dhampir wound themselves to gain blood, or does it have to come from another creature? It has to come from another creature. You can't like rob yourself of your own blood to give yourself more blood. It has to come from something else.
You can't suck your own dick for money.
Sorry, Ophelia's that's great, but Ophelia suggests a corpse suit for Dhampirs, which I think is rad.
Yeah.
For Dhampirs to cover up the sun.
Oh, she
It's
thought
called-
you said corpse soup.
Oh,
So you said corpse soup.
I did say
She
corpse
heard
suit.
corpse suit.
Oh, I think a corpse suit's a great thing to do for Dhampirs then?
So, I mean, is corpse soup.
We do have a cloak of faces.
Yeah.
We do have a cloak. We do have a cloak of
Faces.
many faces.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
a family recipe.
Fashion.
Just look it up. It's fine.
I'm now picturing the put the lotion on your skin.
Right.
So I can then wear it as a secret later.
I want that sweet skin.
So related to question, is there a way to store blood outside the body, like how rangers can store essence bottles? Yes. A liter of blood is equal to 2 sanguine essences, and that can be stored. So it has to be human, or otherwise a living, sentient creature with blood. A lot of requirements like a living blood, sentient creature. But it's preserved by Lurites. You can definitely go through it. All right. Do I get the ranger question?
Yeah, do all uses of ranger evocations require spending an essence, or does that only apply to those powers that specifically call out for an activation? Are they always on / passive evocations that didn't require essence once learned / gained? If not, please add spend one. Yeah. You need to spend an essence no matter what. It's always the case. There are no passives. We'll adjust this, but you do get 3 free expenditures a day from your own essence.
Yeah. So we're gonna adjust it. We'd rather than adding it to every single individual power, we'll make it more obvious at the top. Just so that we found that typically when we add more specificity in specific powers, it tends to add confusion. So we're just gonna put it at the top of the thing.
Sometimes
Since it
more
applies to all of them.
text. Yeah. Sometimes more text is not better. Sometimes it is, but not always.
So we already answered the next one.
Oh, we did. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Same with-
spellcasting
It happens
powers.
multiple times. Yeah.
Can you give us some general ideas of how you see the really aggressive / antagonistic glory groups, triumvirati cultists, Dhampir, other face Vacatrans, etc., playing out with the rest of the game? Mostly just looking for your thoughts and expectations. Should we expect there to be a lot of violent conflict and character deaths, some sort of weird Cold War pseudo-peace, town taken over by monsters, and nice PCs being forced to hide or not to come into game? So,
This is a really good question. We talked about it quite a bit actually.
yeah. So those are all possibilities. The one that is the most villainous, and they are my favorite children, are the cultists of the other face, because, triumvirati are pretty
Evil.
well integrated. They're evil,
They're evil.
but they're well integrated into like Hessian society, and they're like, well, you're my buddy, you're not my religion, but if you want me to help you get like a fortune, that's cool, just give me your femur. But whereas the cultists of the other are like, yes, you, human, no matter who you are, it is my goal to fuck up your day.
And that's
And-
true than other Vacatrans actually. The other thing
Yeah,
is
oh, yeah.
the monster lives in the wood to everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's especially like, you're a male face?
Yeah.
Time to die.
Exactly.
And we do expect a lot of conflict. Because we've removed death as a PvP consequence. We've built in other ways to have conflict. Death isn't a final answer, but there are a lot of opportunities to, have aggressive interactions in different ways. We expect all people to get creative with their antagonism, as death doesn't solve issues. And, like I said earlier, there are some of the concepts earlier where people are like, yeah, we like Quarrelites. We love them.
They're very much the power structure of the world.
Yeah.
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 It's kind
They're
of
part of the world.
It's kind of
Yeah.
like living under the Ministry of Magic when they were taken over by Voldemort's
Yeah.
forces. Like, you don't like the folks, but they're the ones who are controlling the cops.
Yeah.
They're the government.
Or
Yeah.
you
What are you
could
gonna
be
do?
part of them and you could like them and you're
Yeah, maybe that's right.
fascist.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
But we're never going to make it as staff out of game. We're never gonna make it so you guys don't have a space to sleep out of character. It's like unsafe.
Unless you're like purposely pissing off the innkeepers.
Right,
in the game.
yeah.
Well, yeah.
For
there are
innkeepers-
consequences.
Left to work
Yeah.
for it. Yeah.
Because our inns are kept by NPC innkeepers that you have to interact with and pay or earn your keep. And so if you're, again, being antagonistic towards the people that own the inns...
There's more than that.
Yeah,
there's
more than
different
two. More than
sleeping
two.
places.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Then they don't owe you any sort of room, but, you can always sleep in your own tents, your own sort of structures. We talked about we're not making that.
No, yeah. You can,
If you're in your own domicile and it's during quiet hours, that doesn't give us the right to then go in and
Yeah.
trash your tent or
Quiet
hurt you.
hours apply to people in tents and stuff
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just need to tell us where they are.
Yeah, I mean, basically, what it comes down is we want everyone to be having fun. Like the whole point of us getting together and doing this is so people are having fun, and part of that is consequences to your character's actions. However, like we want everyone feeling safe and cared for and warm out of character, and so we're going to do what we can to make you comfortable, playing in our game. But yeah, I mean, we like Virginia is saying, like we have definitely built a ton of conflict into this game. We've given like lots of different avenues for PvP to occur, and so we do expect that any of these scenarios that were listed in the question could happen. But it's in the name of fun.
We want to make sure that you feel safe out of character.
Yeah.
In addition, we also have NPCs who are part of the world. They are robust NPCs. We don't have phantom population or people wandering about. There are people you'll know the names of and you'll see all the time, and they have power. And if a bunch of bad guys try to run them out of town, they'll try to have a counter revolution. There are things that are happening.
Yeah, you're never gonna see like crunchy peasant number 5 whose name is Bob because someone wanted to go eat. The peasant might be Bob, but you'll see him
All the time.
a lot, and he'll feature in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I figured that a lot of NPCs that Megan writes will be involved.
It's my shortcut for when I have no other names. The big thing though is they don't die. So there's no reason for them not to come back. And so for us as making NPCs, we actually make it a point to actually like stat them out and give them stories and stuff, because we should use that person again.
Yeah, like exactly. Killing them is not going to remove them from the story necessarily. Maybe sometimes.
All right.
Yep.
So, does a Dhampir with a -1 physical attribute who is exposed to sunlight instantly drop to -3 and die? So, mostly yes.
Yeah.
For if the -1 is in strength or fortitude, yes, they will be dropped to -3 and that will kill them. If their -1 is in speed, then it will drop them to -3 and they will instead be paralyzed. And then that's basically as good as dead for Dhampirs. But the rules for -3 attributes are on the attribute page, and all of the different -3 attributes have slightly different end conditions that they wind up in. So I think that strength is like a heart attack, and fortitude is just like you have your lungs just constrict or something. But they will get messed up by going out in sunlight if they have a -1
It's bad.
physical attribute.
Yeah.
It's bad.
So don't have a -1, or make sure you have a friend close by if it happens to be speed, so they can carry your sad ass out there.
Have a palanquin.
Friend with a
Yes,
kite.
master. Let me carry you away, master.
Palanquins are great.
Is it palanquin or palanquin?
I've heard of Palanquin.
Palanquin.
My pal, the queen.
Thanks, that's helpful.
Yeah.
Love that.
You're
Excellent.
great. That's welcome. Yeah.
Okay.
Very good.
I'm having wine.
Is it me or is it someone else?
It's you.
Is it me?
Also, we have a question or request mostly to me, but to slow down a bit. So apparently we need to tackle a bit clearer.
Okay. The Dhampir power, Knight's Grace, reads, this power is gained when the Dhampir hunts, kills, and consumes the brain of another character invested with a glory concept. Does this require that the character be a player character, or is it also possible for a non-player character, an NPC, to fulfill the unlocking conditions? And yeah, it can totally be an NPC if you are encountering an NPC paladin or ranger or seer or whatever.
Or cultist.
Cultist. Yes, that totally counts. We are treating PCs and NPCs the same for these situations, yeah.
Next up, for the Ranger's Winter Evocation, Nightmares of the Forest. I'm getting stuck on the part of the Severe Delusions description. It says one must repress emotions, which is the part I understand. It goes on to mention that any display of praise or admiration could cause terrible danger, which is where I get hung up. So the question here is, are praise and admiration being considered extensions of emotional displays here? Because I can provide emotionless and robotic feedback to people in both constructive and critical varieties based on data rather than my feelings about them. Or is it more intended as an additional layer to the illusion that cuts the player ranger off from the social aspect of bonding and involvement with one's friends and community? So it's actually, you're right, it's absolutely the latter. It's basically an and. The actual wording is that the ranger, you must repress your emotions to keep yourself and those you love safe, and any display of praise or admiration could cause terrible danger. So the point is, you can't bond during winter. You have a hard time forming connections, and you don't just believe that you have to repress your emotions, you also believe that if you praise or admonish someone, you're gonna put them in danger in some way, shape, or form.
They're on their own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the precise design, as you guessed, is to distance you further from society. Oh, we actually answered this one already.
Yeah, so skipping down, because we've already answered the next one. Is Dhampir healing instantaneous? Yes.
Yes.
Look it up.
That was easy.
I feel like I'm getting all the easy questions. Let me give my one word answer.
Yes.
Let's see. Regarding the ranger ability consumption, does the ranger have to consume sizable amounts of malefic tissue, or do they just have to consume the malefic essence? It's a bunch of organs. You can hold it in a bottle. It is a malefic smoothie.
So the answer is like, it is like the bile and like the liver and shit, but you don't have to like sit there like eat it all. We don't expect you to be there like it's
Well, you
basically
can't walk.
the essence is the effective malefic smoothie at the very end.
Delicious.
I mean, I would like it if you sat there and ate it.
But you don't
Yeah,
have to.
yeah, exactly.
That'd be fun to
They're-
watch in a
yeah.
weird way.
Yeah. But as far as like
I
it
mean,
goes,
what
you're
you
not
have to.
you're not sitting there in the woods just eating things while your friends look on in horror.
Yeah. Player's choice in a way.
Yes.
Yeah, like you are consuming the essence. You are free to make that as disgusting as you desire.
Alternatively, as clean as you desire to.
Fair.
All right. Is there going to be an option for cultists to have starting equipment options that will allow them to use their rituals? Current ritual components include uncommon, crafted, and rare items that are not currently listed in starting equipment. So this means that coming into game as a cultist, I cannot actually cast any of my starting rituals. Is this the intent, or will there be other starting equipment options coming?
Yeah, it's been we debated.
It's a very good question.
We debated
we
this.
discussed this for a while. And so for cultists and mages, when you come into play, you have the things you need to cast each of your spells or rituals once. So for each one of them, you can cast them once with the materials you come in with. Provided it's not a shrine material or a specific quest item, like a lock of Chantel's hair. And also, we have the ability to purchase consumable objects with glory when you come in. So it'll be 1 glory for a common weird item, 2 glory for an uncommon weird item. We're not going to let you come in with a rare weird item, because those are more things that we want you to hunt for in game. But those two, yeah, you can come in with it if you want to spend a little bit of glory. And that is under consumable on our glory page.
And that's that list of starting stuff. That's a phase 3, 3rd patch release. Is it me?
Yeah.
All right, I'll get this eventually.
Oh,
the,
good.
the turn order. Given the feedback and performance within the first beta, how do you feel ranged weapons such as guns and bows performed in terms of balance and viability when compared to standard melee and unarmed? And we went through the feedback, and it seemed to go well. It seemed like our main issue was people didn't always know when they got hit, and we got some feedback based on that. And so we made the change that that there is a call that it's on the shooter, whether it's a bow or gun, to let their target know that they've been hit. So we made that change, that you gotta make the call if it seems like the person wasn't aware of it. But overall, that's it went well. Yeah.
We also want to make sure that we're going to be talking to our NPCs and making sure everyone understands what it means if someone uses those calls.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we actually, so when in the pipeline will the other glory spend specifics, such as entering play with initial starting item offer, list, or villain concept be released? So, like we just said, we are doing the starting item equipment problem in our 3rd beta, our 3rd patch, which will depend on how everything else goes. But that is our plan for our 3rd release. Villain concepts, though, are kind of already released.
Yeah, that's all out there.
So basically, it's not like we're going to be releasing a specific villain concept. It's more like it's a concept that we basically kind of reserve the right to say, hey, that's more of a villain concept. We would need to play Corey to interplay with that. And it's mostly going to be things that are directly antagonistic to the nature of making society or the nature of a functioning community. And that's mostly right now just the other face.
Yeah, the other face is our main example right now of a villain concept. But yeah, it's kind of one of those like we reserve the right to say that your concept of villain concept.
So if someone comes in and something we haven't thought of that we're like, ooh, that's gonna just throw a wrench in everything. We want to. That's when we reserve the right to call the villain concept.
Also, regarding the ranger ability consumption, does one use the ability heal all battered parts of the body, or does it heal only one battered location? It clears all of the battered locations.
Just feels bad.
So, like, if you're real injured and you have, like, a battered on each of your limbs, congratulations, you're good now.
Hey.
Oh, actually, I'd like to take this next one because this is a me thing specifically.
Oh, gleefully.
Some ritual components require items that are listed as gatherable via skills that are uncommon, rare, but seem to be otherwise obtainable. Things like the body of a person who's yet to ash, or a knife that has been killed. Are these things only viable to be used in rituals if they're gathered via the gathering skills, or can one simply kill a person with a knife using the ritual? If this is the case, wherein is the line of what must be tagged, and how tagged items may be acquired based on RP actions? There's a new section, which I call it in the patch. It's kind of easy to miss though. On the schematics page, there's a quest section. And the quest section not only lists what those items are, but what you need to do in order for staff to give you the tag. And effectively, most of the time it's going to be like, you're going to come to staff and be like, hey, as Chantel died, held this bottle over her face, and I cloaked as she died, so I want the blood of an innocent, or the last breath of an innocent. I'm like, sorry, Chantel's not innocent. Doesn't qualify, she's got tons of depravity, right? Or I'll say, yeah, that qualifies, and you'll just hand off whatever you've gathered, if it's a prop, whatever, and I will then give you a tagged. It's very, if you look at all the rituals where they require tagged items, the tagged item part is the part that's underlined. It's usually in focuses, or it's in offerings, focus offerings, and so you'll have a tag there. That underlined part's the part that has to be tagged. But it's all answered on the quest section of schematics. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Regina.
Was the during the first beta one?
Sorry, I accidentally clicked on a ticket. Okay. During the first beta, the engineering schematics were not complete. Is there an ETA on fleshing them out? Will they be made public like other schematics in terms of components, but still requiring the schematic to construct? They're done, but only simple and intermediate schematics are released publicly. All other schematics are read when you receive them. So
You'll find
via
them.
finding them, buying them
Yeah.
from the caravan.
They'll be seeded into the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll work for a little bit. Sorry.
But you will get some upon entrance. I think it says you get 3 in whatever tree you buy when you get it.
Pretty much everyone who has stuff like that gets 3 of a beginning thing.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
When incorporeal, can you attack or affect the material world, or does that vary from power to power? So when you're incorporeal, you can only interact with incorporeal things unless you have a special power, like a weapon that can hit incorporeal creatures. You can't pick up anything physical or anything like that. You can use your social powers, though. You're still fully able to communicate, and since those aren't like a physical action, you can definitely use those. And you can take your stuff with you, but you can't use it against corporeal creatures.
However, now that you are incorporeal and all your stuff's incorporeal, you can maybe hit other incorporeal things.
Yep, and incorporeal things can hit you.
The materials list includes common items that should be easily found or gathered in real life, such as a pig's tail or a strawberry. But you've listed them as weird materials. Does it really take gathering 5 of the appropriate type to get these? And the answer is yes. As strange as that may seem to us in our real non-Age of Ashes world, it does take gathering 5 to get the weird tag for a strawberry or a pig's tail. The world is one of scarcity, and a lot of times people are having a really hard time feeding themselves, and a delicious pig's tail or a plump strawberry is something that is a weird find.
Yeah, like strawberries would be something nice enough for Cell Gothics to have in their seed vault. Why would you, some outlander fuck, be like, yeah,
Strawberry.
I got a whole carton of them.
But it is like those are like common weird items, right?
Yeah.
It's also dependent upon the thing, and the idea is that you might be able to find like blighted strawberries you can eat.
Yeah,
but they're not good for magic.
Yeah.
So to find one that's good for magic, that has all the strawberry goodness,
Yeah.
or the proper pig's tail, it's not been cut or slayed.
Yeah, it's like the oh my gosh, like the
platonic
ideal.
Of a
Yeah.
strawberry.
Yeah, like the perfect. This is the representative strawberry of all strawberries, the most strawberry, and that is weird. The end.
So question is, what does the arcane call modifier do? It's not in the glossary. Apologies, I'll add it in later. Basically, though, it's just the opposite divine. So it's basically arcane effects used to indicate the call originates with some arcane source, may only be resisted by other arcane or by divine resists.
Okay. There are a couple of ritual components in the Vicato rituals that do not have direct corresponding materials in the gather list. A meal, sin eating, and animal bone, messenger. Are these intended to simply be props we FizzWrap, or is there a corresponding tagged item intended to fill these requirements? Our gathering item list is not exclusive. A meal is anything that falls within the alchemical meal schematics. Scavenging will sometimes come up with an undersided animal bone. Otherwise, you can use any other natural animal bone. So, while there might not be an animal bone on the list, there's things like, a raccoon's skull or something like that would be able to be used.
But most importantly, the gathering list isn't exclusive. Scavenging does have some stuff that doesn't come up that's not on there. Like, for example, one of the things you can find randomly as a scavenger is random faces, random animal parts, things, preserved stuff. Like, so there's weird stuff that we didn't include necessarily in the list that can be found. But if the item is underlined, generally it has to be tagged.
Yep.
Oh no.
Yeah. It always. Yeah.
Oh. Dear.
Oh yes. Oh.
Yeah.
So
It's that time.
let's go ahead. We don't need to make Virginia do this.
Oh, is it me?
It's you.
It's you. If you're feeling it.
Romancing the Rat King module when?
However,
If you check our new Malefica and Monsters page, we describe the different kinds of creatures in the world. The Rat King and other creatures like him are aberrant monsters, which is deadly degradation, as sins go.
It is.
monster bestiality.
Yeah.
Super gross.
Take
Stop.
that into account as you pursue your romances and select your suitors.
Yeah.
Choose wisely.
Again, we're not judging. It's just there's depravity associated with it. And so some of us are judging, some of us are not. Just take that into account, please.
The end result, though, is you want to chase that down, we'll provide the opportunity for you to chase it down.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
And that's true of most things.
Yeah.
You just know the bed you're rushing into and know that you're going to have to sleep in it after you do whatever you want to do first in it.
Choices and consequences.
Make good choices.
Make good choices.
Sin, more sin.
So,
Sin raining from the sky.
I'm so excited to move on. Okay. Can rangers gain more than one evocation in one ritual? And if not, I assume that they can perform the ritual multiple times back to back? Or is it once per day since it requires sunset? And it is that you can only do it once per day because it does require a sunset. It is only the platonic ideal of a sunset for a single moment.
We're not gonna make sure you do that at a specific time. Like it's 5:45 millet counts, but you can only do it once during the day.
Will the archaeology skill tree be the main or primary method for magicians to gain access to their materials and new spells? And the answer is that materials are often used, you get your stuff through a bunch of different ways, but they're often found through level 5 gathering, through scavenging, like Megan was talking about. You can find all kinds of weird things that way. You can buy it from caravans. It can be found through story and questing, or definitely archaeology. Archaeology is a way of finding stuff like that. Like I mentioned earlier with the nature of the guilds, your spells are often going to be obtained by making a request of your guild, but they can definitely be found in-game through questing around, digging around in ruins through your story. Like, we will be seeding the game periodically with some cool finds, like new spells for you.
Clarification on the effects of the Shrine of the Female Face. Does it mean you can bind a wound without a bandage at the cost of gaining the pain effect? Or does it mean you can only bind a wound without a bandage while you're already under a pain effect? It's the latter, and I know it's kind of confusing, and the basic idea here is that you're using the pain of the world to, like, stop the bleeding. You can basically heal a wound without a bandage if you're under the pain effect. So it's very much like, I need you to slap me with a pain effect.
Yeah, do it.
Do it. I don't have a bandage.
We like, it was like, that was like stereo for a second. Yeah.
So it is very much, though, that you do need to be under the pain effect to use this the shrine effect.
Alright. So clarification on the effects of the Shrine of the Female Face.
Oh, it is. I said that one.
Oh, sorry. Can rangers preserve the essence they get using Dark Harvest, or do they have to take them to the cultist of the Female Face who uses the ritual Protection of the Bounty?
They may need you to get a little closer to the microphone, I think, earlier.
Do I need to repeat the question?
Go for it. Just
Yeah, let's
Okay.
repeat it just in case.
Can rangers preserve the essence they get through using Dark Harvest, or do they have to take them to a cultist of the Female Face who uses the ritual Protection of the Bounty? They do not have a way to preserve it themselves, but they can use a female face cultist or other cultists like Lorites. They could also use formaldehyde to do that as well.
Formaldehyde's pretty awesome.
I remember everyone wanted it at the beta.
Yeah.
Everyone's scrambling for it. It's good stuff.
What is the average expiration time for an essence that was not preserved using a cultist ritual? 1 month.
For the Escape Artist 5, Contortionist Fruit, what is the referenced jailed skill? There's no other reference to it on the website. This was a minor typo. The actual text should be for jailer, which is a different. Yeah, I believe it's under security.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's in engineering.
Yeah.
We tried to get fancy with our tenses.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Which reads as such. It is not enough to simply restrain a person. You must make it so that if they escape, they will not get far. You may chain a person up, requiring a key or a pick to let them out. Any attempt to break the person free results in that person taking a limb strike per lock used to a maximum of 3. The chain is a prop that's placed on a person. The player will not be physically chained up. So yeah, we're going to correct that. It was a minor typo.
Okay. Do you have any plans to institute a maximum length for grab offers? In the first beta, some of them were longer than the maximum length of light weapons, which feels kind of wrong considering the downside of unarmed means that you're supposed to have significantly less reach. And I think during the beta, some of our monsters were using longer buffers than players have because some of our monsters have things like claws
Or
or tentacles or things like that. So NPCs can use longer like grab buffers than the standard grab buffer. So if that's kind of where that was coming from, apologies. We're going to make that more clear on the site. I mean, I think we already have it listed on the site, but we can highlight that a bit more. But we are thinking of changing the wording of this so that light weapons and natural weapons are kind of roughly equivalent to each other. We're taking a look at it basically. Thank you for raising the concern because right now we've got that light weapons are your fingertips to your elbow roughly, and these are like rough approximations. And then we've got that natural weapons are where the padded part must be between 6 and 18 inches, and the entire weapon can't be more than 21 inches. So they're meant to be like pretty small, because these are basically representing like your fists and your handy hands. So they are meant to be small, but natural weapons, we're taking a look at to see if we want to make them more equivalent to light weapons.
we have 3 final questions that are in our Slack because that's listed on our thing.
Okay.
First one is, I think we answered this already, so I'm just going to gloss over it real quick. Is can paladins be from any culture, and how does it affect their sins? They can be from any culture. However, they do share a specific sin course or sin set, which is the Universal 5 plus Passion and Pride. But then the next question is, will there be any size limits for shields? Right now, our size limits for shields are listed in the schematics. It said large shields can be up to 4 feet in longest diameter, and normal shields are up to 2 feet in longest diameter. But we'll go ahead and update that on the combat overview page too, so it's multiple pieces of information. But yeah, so that's currently 4 feet for large, 2 feet for short, and that's in the longest diameter, whatever that is. And then last question.
Sorry, let me open this up.
You know, Superman.
Since dodge from light weapons 3 doesn't require a light weapon, which other weapon skills apply without wielding the same weapon? I believe it's none of them.
Yeah.
Dodge is the only one that you can use without having a weapon in hand.
Dodge is special.
And we're going to clarify that to mark that dodge is special on the site, so it's more understandable. Because we got a lot of questions about that.
Yeah. Dodge is special.
We do have some additional questions through that came through the overview. We are at our time though. It's now 3:30. What do you guys want to do?
I don't mind taking a couple minutes.
Yeah, no, that'll be
Is it?
fine.
Yeah.
Although Brendan, you need to allow my access to the document because apparently I'm not in there.
Ooh.
Who did you send it to?
Oh dear.
I have
Some
unknown
poor soul.
questions. So I do know that we have one from, we can go backwards until I have access. Oh, no, access is denied. Does Will AOA have an OG item wish list for props and such? Oh,
Not really. We could probably, I mean, we started to. We could probably like spend some time making one. Because I mean, there's definitely, we were fortunate in that early on through our culture events and things like that, we did get donations, but I mean, we can always use more stuff. So that's something that we can definitely work on and publish if people would like to donate more stuff that we can use.
Oh, real good question from Josh Dunn. If a cultist changes religion, do they forget their rituals and free up that XP?
I don't think so.
Oh, well, I don't know. So
So
that
we might have to debate that a little bit. My inclination is to say no, you don't get your XP refunded, but we might need to discuss that.
yeah.
You know?
So we'll come back to that. That's a
Yeah.
good question, Josh. If you're still online, could you actually send us a ticket to remind us of this?
Yeah.
That helps us remind us of things.
To argue about at our meetings.
Yeah, because that's a good question that we should think about.
Yeah.
Question from Max Heimdall. Question, I'm not sure if you said it at the beginning, but do occultists get a specialized ritual related to their cult with rank 1? Yes, you come into play with 3 rank 1 rituals. It's not specialized, you can decide what they are. And you will get the materials to cast those 3 as long as they're not specific to like a shrine ritual or a quest like
Yeah, like
a lock of Chantal's hair.
yeah, like a very specific thing. Yeah, like that.
Christina,
Quest item.
Christina Buff asks, will twirly mustaches for villains concepts be extra XP?
Yes.
Yes.
No, you can have as many twirly mustaches as you want.
Have all of the layers, stacks on
So-
stacks
Yeah.
on stacks on stacks.
Actually,
When does
oh man,
this
an
stop?
outlander
We
with a million
need to-
mustaches.
Million mustaches.
How do you create Malefic though? Like the mustache man?
Oh.
There needs to be a cost. When does this end?
It's a cost. It is not a mechanical benefit. There's no XP.
Well, he's extra evil.
Yeah, so evil. That may be a villain concept, though,
Yeah.
for sure. If you have that many mustaches,
I still think we should do the mustache man.
I kind of think we should too.
I'll start writing it. I'm working on bestiary anyway.
I
I'm
know.
leaving.
We had eyeballs. We'll move on to mustaches.
Mustaches.
We're slowly moving down my body.
What's his next
one last
name?
question.
I am so excited.
That was the last one.
I am so excited to wear mustaches.
Good. Fantastic.
But I do really appreciate all these guys, your questions, guys. Like these actually did help us think about stuff in quite a bit.
Yeah.
And we do. We will make some. I will have a half patch probably coming in a bit, or we might wait for our next release to go through and add these clarifications.
Feel free to send in tickets. We really hope that our next beta event is something that can occur. However, we will, like everyone, we're waiting to see if it's safe. If it's safe to do it, given the current pandemic circumstances. So as soon as we know, we will let you know. But in the meantime, You can engage on Facebook. We have Discord. We have forums if people want to get some role play in.
And we do
Yeah.
invite you to use the Facebook too, because like a lot of times people have asked questions about this stuff, and it's nice for it to be public.
Yeah.
So feel free if you've got clarifications that you think are not secret to ask them on Facebook.
And thank you.
Yeah, we really appreciate all of you guys.
Yeah, this was fun.
Love it.